Look at how many of you are here. Look at how loud your voices are today. Realize that this is a growing movement. Many of you have been here before, time and time, but it was smaller crowds. The message maybe was not as powerful when it was being spoken. Today we have a mighty message. We have a mighty message that's being spoken today. A lot of technical things going on here. This is par for the course. Grassroots. I want to introduce myself again. I'm Junius Rodriguez and I'm running for Congress. Question was asked earlier, how many town halls has Darren LaHood held? In the last year, 0. He did 1 since he was elected back in 2016. By the way, in that same period of time, I've done 11 town hall meetings. And in 3 weeks, we're starting another round of 11 town halls that we're going to be conducting.
Thank you!
Congressman LaHood is going to be in the district in August when I'm doing the town halls. We're sending him a certified letter, inviting him to come to any of these events that he wishes to speak at. He's invited. He's welcome there. Now we're here today to talk about the problems of corruption in our government and our society. We're here to talk about the need for democracy. And I want to say just a little bit in terms of why it's such a problem that we're seeing this kind of dysfunction in our government. When our constitutional system was established, when the framers established our government, they were people of the Enlightenment. They believed in something called science. By the way, this guy doesn't believe in that. But the framers of our government believed in the concept of science. And interestingly enough, when they described our government early on, they often described it as a machine or as an engine. In fact, some of the framers called it an engine that could go of its own. And the idea was the system was as perfect as possible, but there was always the imperfection of man. There was always the imperfection of humanity. And so you could have elected officials who might cause problems within the system. So to try to perfect it as much as possible, they created a system of co-equal branches of government. They created a system where there were going to be checks and balances. And the idea was, if corruption would ever arise, certainly 2 branches of government would not permit corruption to exist in the 3rd. They never imagined a day when 2 branches of government might be dealing with corruption and potentially all 3 might be dealing with corruption. That is the world that we're facing today. That is why we're here, and that's why we're fighting today.
And we're going to change that.
We will change that. Now, I want to say a little bit about corruption. If you think about it, political corruption has existed for a bit. But interestingly enough, when corruption usually exists, there's generally 3 kinds of political corruption. One kind is corruption that's usually associated with money. Another kind is corruption associated oftentimes with sex. And the 3rd kind of corruption is the corruption associated with power.
Oh my God.
Now, if you look at the Trump administration, I think you can find pretty good evidence of all 3 of those. But I want to speak to you. I want to speak to you about something that's even more dangerous. And it's something that has arisen in the last year and a half within the United States Congress. And I think it's a 4th kind of corruption that we're experiencing. And that 4th kind of corruption is a corruption of the spirit. It's a corruption in which individuals believe that political tribalism, when people believe that political tribalism is something that is meant to tear our country apart because individuals view politics as a system that is nothing more than a zero-sum game, where for them to win, they have to try to vanquish the rest. This is not how our political system was meant to be. And one of the things that we have to do is we have to find a way that we can counter that. And we counter that when individuals step forward and challenge our elected officials. When they say, live up to the oath that you took. Defend the Constitution. You are the guardian of our democracy. You who have been elected to the House and to the Senate, you are the guardians of our democracy. You must challenge this administration when it steps out of line. And by the way, it does that on a daily basis. But you must stand up to them. What we are witnessing is an abdication of the most sacred power that we grant to elected officials in our constitutional system. This cannot be tolerated. This cannot stand. And if it means that we need to protest in this space every single day, if it means that we need to write letters, make phone calls, do everything that we can every single day, we're going to do that. Our numbers are going to grow because the power of the people, the power of our constitutional system is what we are fighting to defend. And those who remain silent, those who abdicate their responsibility, will not make it past November. Because this election is going to be an election about cleaning house. We need to have a government that is going to be responsive, a government that is going to live up to the constitutional principles. We have to go back to that system that the founders envisioned, the engine that would go of its own, the one in which individuals would step forward and do the right thing. One thing that I can promise to you, if I have the good fortune of becoming your congressman, I will do everything that I can to live up to the obligations of the oath and to defend you, your values, your rights. This is what this American democracy is all about. Thank you for being here.